All right, race fans, here we are, the OBRL YesterYear Cup Series. Apologies for the delay, had a few issues up here in the booth as we are under caution, 17 laps in and getting ready to fire them back up. That's going to be Tom Ogle, Jerry Isaacs on your front row, Josh Robinson, Dan Hill, your second row. And we are green flag racing here at Iowa. There goes Ogle in the number 11 machine. A good launch. His teammate Josh Robinson, number 23 machine, working the inside line against Jerry Isaacs, trying to get something going early on here. There we go, got everything dialed in after those issues. We see Patrick Martindale's going to roll out of pit road. John Hastings down pit road with an extended stay here tonight. Tom Ogle up in the top spot, a comfortable 3/10 gap. Josh Robinson in second. Cycling it back though, Lloyd Moore sitting at ninth. He's chased by Brian Lynch, Gavin Adams, Sean Foltz, Wayne Hufford. A nice, tidy pack of drivers here. And as always, as we're rocking and rolling here at the OBRL, let us know where you're from, who you're cheering on. Ogle sets the fastest lap of the race at 24.26. Looks like Titanium Everhart, the number 17. He's going to come down pit road. Robert Garisco, Greg McDaniel, side by side. That's going to be Garisco's, I was going to say fourth spot gain, but McDaniel sends it back up the inside line. There's Michael Watson, number 84, just ahead. Watson, McDaniel side by side here for fifth. And for those out there, let us know how the audio is in this new setup. We're still tweaking a couple things, but want to make sure that it's good and dialed in for the fans. As the top five still very much undecided here. McDaniel holding on to it. Looks like they're starting to catch up to Dan Hill, the MXPX back number 7 Chevrolet. As TJ Rogers, number 72 machine, trying to tuck in behind Garisco in the 28. But right now it seems to be the party is for about fourth place back. Watson McDaniel still side by side here as Garisco, that 28, looking for an opening, not quite able to find it. As it looks like Hill and Watt's going to go side by side here. Watson, number 84, up on the high side, the bright orange machine. Hill, the number 7, down low. So looks like Watt's going to work his way up inside the top 5. Hill's going to fall back to 5th. A little bit further back, we've got Wayne Hufford, Sean Foltz battling for 12th. Hufford down low in the number 75. Foltz up against the wall. Now I'm curious to see, it looks like Watts keeping the run going here. Starting to reel in Robinson, number 23. We got Larry Corey joining us saying the audio sounds good. Much obliged to Larry. And again, yeah, happy Father's Day to all. I'm sure there's a large portion of the field here dipped away from the grill for a little bit to run the Sunday night YesterYear Racing Cup Series. Now, this is interesting. Dan Hill, number 7, comes down pit road. Trying to get a camera angle pointed. There goes Hill. So he's going to come down pit road for what looks, no, he takes a tow. So Hill has some sort of issues. Maybe a connection problem. Pac-Man CT joined us here tonight. Good to see him joining up. Always out there in the spectator area cheering on the Team VLS drivers. So hopefully we see Dan Hill get back out on track, that number 7. I'm hoping he didn't have to retire early here tonight. Still 23 of our 27 entries out on track. Your top 5, Ogle, Isaacs, Robinson, Watson, McDaniel holding strong here. Still, just inside the top 5 is where some of our closest action is. Watts, McDaniel, Garisco separated by less than 0.6 of a second. It looks like McDaniel gonna fire up the inside line of Watts, making the move for 4th. Garisco still sitting in 6th. Now, we did get a report Dan Hill is going to get back out on track to that number 7, so not sure if that was a hardware issue or a connection issue, but we will see Hill get back on the racing surface. Now, already having a caution on lap 17 does bode well for Hill here, meaning that there's a pretty decent chance we'll have another incident that will allow him to get some laps back here if we do have some cautions. Never a guaranteed thing here, the YesterYear Racing Cup Series. As I say that, Robert Garisco has a moment at number 28, almost gets run over by TJ Rogers and Brian Lynch. Thankfully, everybody able to get checked up there. The driver's getting in that groove. Oh, what happened? Garisco's in trouble here. Keeps it off the wall, not going to have incident. But let's get a replay queued up and see what happened there to Garisco. Did he get some help in number 28? We're focusing on Garisco, the number 28 Ford. Looks like Garisco got a little bit tight there, pushed up. And does he get some help from Brian Lynch, the number 9, or is it going to be a solo incident? Garisco looks like, I'm not quite sure where this happened at. Looked like he got a little bit loose there, so, oh, that's exactly what it was. So watch this, Garisco gets loose, might have been in the dirty air off TJ Rogers, loses the back end. Thankfully that car didn't snap loose on him, and while that incident was going on, Brian Lindsay, number 24, also showing involved in an incident. The exact same move as Garisco. The back end breaks free just ever so slightly, and around went Brian Lindsay. Thankfully, no caution. I say thankfully for the rest of the field. I'm sure those guys were looking for a caution there. The driver's definitely fighting both the car and the track here. Seems to be a little bit greasy here at Iowa. Now, you got two different battles going on here. Brian Lynch trying to put pressure on Michael Watts for 6th. You've got Josh Robinson putting pressure on Isaacs in the battle for 2nd. And right behind Watts and Lynch here, you've got Lloyd Moore and Sean Foltz linked up nose to tail. Now, I'm curious to see, does Robinson try and make a move for the 2nd place position here? As we've got another report, Robert Garisco again has issues at number 28. I think he might have overheated the tires, and it's going to get exponentially worse. It looks like that's going to be right ahead of Victor Lane. Oh, and Lane does a great job checking up to avoid tagging the back of Garisco. We talked about Father's Day earlier. There's Grandpa Pischke, the number 4. He's being chased by Gavin Adams and William Martin. Pischke showing up 10 spots already Ahead of Pishke, number 99, Lee Warsdale showing up 13 positions to make him the hard charger. We've got Fletcher Hillman here. He's cheering on the number 74, Alan Wanamaker, tuning in from Massachusetts. Lloyd Moore, Brian Lynch, Sean Foltz, all battling for 7th here. Just ahead of them, that is Michael Watts and TJ Rogers as things are getting a little bit tighter here. I think that might be lap traffic as we very briefly go 3 wide. That was the number 93, Patrick Martindale, going to the high side to allow these lead lap drivers by. Thankfully, without incident there. John Foltz doing everything he can to make that move stick against Brian Lynch. And we are going to have a caution as, they are piling in. That was Lee Warsdale late in the incident with Wayne Hufford as everybody's taking evasive maneuvers here. It started with Hufford is what we saw first on the incident. So Hufford, the same story, snaps loose. Does a good job getting on the brakes, but unfortunately drifts into a hot track. And Lee Warsdale just nowhere to go on that one. And I believe Warsdale is going to take a tow back down pit road. That is exactly what he does. Pulls over and says, we're going to take the short way back to pit road. So live timing's incorrect here. That's going to be the second caution of the night. As Tom Ogle leads the field down pit road here at Iowa. Ogle recently getting his A-Class license on iRacing. Did not know that Iowa and Idaho were different, but at least he is leading today's main event. Let's see, Ogle almost got passed by Robinson out of pit road. Robinson was about a half second faster in his pit stall. Ogle, with that qualifying top position, was still able to beat him to the line here. See a few more drivers coming down pit road. Looks like Chris Bates got on the lead lap, the number 81 machine, before he opted to come down pit road. So a few drivers will get waiver rounds under this caution. So we're going to get them gridded up double file. It's going to be Ogle and Robinson on the front row. Isaacs, McDaniel, your second row. Rogers and Watts will make up your third row. Looks like Dan Hill, that number 7 machine, is going to get a wave around. I think he's still going to be 1 or 2 laps down here, as I'm showing 19 drivers still on the lead lap. we got Michael Dow. Hopefully I'm saying that right. While we've got Michael in the spectator area, is it Dow or Doe? Inquiring minds, meaning me, would like to know. There's your drivers getting the wave around. A big blink there, so still dialing in those little technical difficulties we were talking about. Thankfully, everything seems to be on the up and up here as we line them up double file, getting ready to send them back out. Again, live timing is correct. This is the second caution of the night. Pace car is in, green flag is out, and we are underway at Iowa. So now you've got the field reset. Everybody took 4 tires in this stop. Robinson trying to muscle up behind his teammate Ogle, but Jerry Isaacs, number 51, was trying to get a nose in. Isaacs settles for third here. A little bit further back. Things are real busy from about 15th place back. Right now on screen is Victor Lane and Chris Bates. Side by side for 17th. Lane running down low. Bates running a little bit higher up against the wall. Bates running 17th, exactly where he qualified. Just ahead of these guys, there's Alan Wanamaker. Has made a move against William Martin, moving that number 74 machine up into 14th. And now he's going to try and track down Grandpa Pischke, Roger Hurley, Gavin Adams, Brian Lynch. Those are all who separated Alan Wanamaker from a top 10 here. Now, looks like Wayne Hufford, Lee Warsdale are most likely going to be retired from this feature event. Hufford is for certain back behind the pit wall. Warsdale's in his pit stall trying to get repairs done. There's Pischke and Wanamaker side by side for 13th. And Wanamaker, the number 74, get clear here. Number 4 of Pischke staying down low right behind Wanamaker. You see Martin Amasi. Looks like Bates, Lindsay, and Lane are relatively close here as well, as we are a third of the way through today's main event. Last time by was going to be John Hinchcliffe, getting down to a 24.16, setting the fastest lap of the race. Wanamaker has quickly gained a few spots. He's up into 13th. There's Tom Amasi, Dakota Pischke, Chris Bates in a nice tidy pack. Bates trying to make something happen there. The number 81 up on the high side as Pischke stays down low. It's a little bit further up ahead. Greg McDaniel battling with John Hinchcliffe, as this will be the battle for 4th out on track. Still, the battle for 4th continues. Looks like it might be the battle for 3rd here. Hinchcliffe running solid in the number 8 has Isaacs, McDaniel, Watson. I see TJ Rogers starting to close the gap as well. Things are bunching up a little bit here. Drivers have to be careful. They've been really fighting with the car control so far here this evening. Patrick Martindale, the number 93 machine, down pit road from, I'm not sure if that's going to be a green flag stop or maybe a self-serve penalty. Michael Watts moving back up into 5th against McDaniel, but we're going to have more problems here. And it's showing, unfortunately, Robert Garisco involved in another incident, the number 28. Is it going to be solo? Yes, it is. Let's try and get a different angle there. Surely that was the back end stepping out because it looked like Garisco was just turning left. Oh yeah, that car is definitely out of sorts. Trying to see who tagged him. We're going to get the replay queued up, our YesterYear Racing chopper cam. That's not a chopper. There we go. So Garisco was all sorts of out of shape already there. And unfortunately, Dakota Pischke nowhere to go as Garisco was trying to chase it down the track, and unfortunately that space was occupied. Now we saw a little bit of shenanigans. Ogle triggered the pit lane entry notification up here in the broadcast. Did not come down pit road, so I wonder if he was trying to psych out some competition. Looks like Robert Garisco is going to get back out on track. Dakota Pischke is going to be able to rejoin that number 4 machine. Other drivers a little bit longer stays. Andy Thomas, number 12, Toyota. He was in there for 30 seconds. As we're still showing 22 drivers out on track of the 27 original entries. 20 of those drivers still on the lead lap here. Not quite to the halfway mark of today's main event. So getting them formed back up, double file. Andy Thomas going to come back down pit road. He'll stay on the lead lap, excuse me. But we'll get some more repairs done on his Toyota Camry. Gridded up double file behind the iRacing safety car. That's Ogle and now Hinchcliffe your front row. Robinson and Isaacs will make up the second row. McDaniel and Watts will be seeing the third row. Been a bit of a night of caution here tonight for these drivers. Little uncharacteristic to see so many cautions, but drivers only have, I believe it's 7 incident points available before they are disqualified from the race. A reminder to some of the fans out there, incident points pretty easy to rack up. If you have a hard car-to-car contact, doesn't matter if that's your fault or not. That's 4 incident points right there. So if you're involved in a crash that bounces off 2 cars, Your night could very well be over before we've even crossed the halfway mark. Safety car is in. Green flag is out. Not a good start there. I think that was Watts, number 84, had big issues in the inside line. That's going to give the top 5 drivers a little bit of a breakaway. Hinchcliffe early on, the number 8, wants to keep the pressure on Ogle. See if he can get that number 11 machine out of the race lead. Ogle has been dominant so far here tonight. Standing back, there's the battle for 10th. Roger Hurley, the number 77, trying to defend against Brian Lynch. But there's a lot of action. We always say it each and every week. Cautions breed cautions. As I say that, it happens. The commentator's curse rings true once more. And it's going to be William Martin finding himself nose into the safety barrier. Let's see what happened to the pilot, number 94. Let's back that up. I can't tell if he got loose all on his lonesome, or if there's a little bit of help going on, I wonder. Looks like just up in the marbles on fresh tires. Oh, he was very fortunate, as well as the rest of the field. He did not come down into the racing line, or that could have been much, much worse. So William Martin, number 94, will bring out the caution. So again, a series of quick cautions, giving drivers plenty of time to doodle around. And getting plenty of seat time of pacing here tonight at the Iowa Raceway. And while we are rolling under caution, I want to give another shout out to our friends YesterYear Racing, coming on board this season as the title sponsor for the Old Bastards Racing League Cup Series. Bunch of great guys that run true to form wheel and modified events on Tuesday nights. A great group of racers. A lot of those drivers currently out on track as well. Now we are getting closer and closer to the halfway mark here at today's main event. We'll get them lined up, double file. And we'll try this again, see if we can maybe get some green flag runs going here this evening. As it's a bit of a rough one for the drivers out there. Safety car gets ready to come down pit road as we head through turn 4. Let's try this again. As we wait for the green flag, it is out, and let's go racing. Inside line stacks up just a little bit there. Oval doesn't get the launch he was looking for. Hinchcliffe seemed to have it really dialed in there, the number 8. Look, things are getting busy here around third place as we go 3 wide. Jerry Isaacs squeezed in the middle. That's John Hinchcliffe up on the high side. Greg McDaniel down low. How long can they hold it for? McDaniel avoids contact with Isaacs. Looks like McDaniel's going to back out of it ever so slightly, taking that number 1 machine out of the vortex of danger. And while that's going on... Oh, I just heard somebody crash. It was going to be Michael Watts, the 84, as... Unfortunately, his car has turned into Reese's Pieces as the front bumper slides across the tarmac. Watts way up high, loses the back end, slams the wall. Again, the saving grace for these moments is the field is able to slide through there without further incidents, but we are going to take the halfway mark and just a few short laps under caution, I believe. Gonna get a lot of pacing laps here at Iowa, it looks like. Tom Massey comes down pit road, as well as Dan Hill, Michael Watts, Titanium Everhart. The rest of the field stays out. Looks like 1st through 12th place has not come down pit road since that lap 44 caution. Now, I don't believe there's a single file restart rule here at the OBRL. And some oval racing, if you have so many cautions without completing a green flag lap, sometimes race control will force the field into a single wide or a single file situation on the starts. I don't think that's going to be the case here tonight. But definitely a rough go for the drivers. But we are officially at the halfway mark. While under caution, drivers are being displayed the cross green and white flags, signaling the halfway mark of today's main event. Now, despite the cautions, I'm still showing 23 drivers out on track. Unfortunately, it looks like Watts may have retired in that number 84 after that huge impact. Only 21 of these drivers still on the lead lap. Now, we talked about earlier, Dan Hill, the number 7, involved in one of those incidents, found himself a few laps down. With these cautions, that number 7 is back on the lead lap. He's still down 13 spots from where he started. But with half the race still to go, that can be a little bit of a motivation for some of these drivers, realizing that they're not quite out of it. Gridded back up, double file. Ogle and Hinchcliffe on the front row. Robinson, Isaacs your second row. McDaniel and Foltz the third row. And let's see, maybe, just maybe, we'll get some green flag laps going here. Hinchcliffe getting better and better on these starts, able to match Ogle off the line. Robinson third. Not much has changed inside the top 5 here. We go a little bit further back. Alan Wanamaker still making moves at number 74 up into 12th. Oh, but Brian Lindsay's going to fire back here. Already you're hearing some drivers tagging that outside wall a little bit. Finding the ragged edge of just how high they can go. Now your race leader, Tom Ogle, just clicked off the fastest lap of the race with a 24.01. He is ripping in the White Claw back number 11. Has already built up about 4/10 over Hinchcliffe. A full second over third place back. I'm wondering if Ogle is thinking this is going to be a night of short runs and is no longer super concerned about saving tires. Watching Greg McDaniel, the number 1 machine, 4th through 6th in a nice tight cluster here. I'm keeping an eye out as well on Sean Foltz, number 95 machine, sitting 6th. Been making some big moves in that Ford Mustang. Looks like McDaniel looked like he was fighting the car there ever so slightly. That's allowing Foltz and Rogers to close the gap here. Foltz hunting to the inside line, and McDaniel trying to get a run against that number 1. Has to be careful. Any little mistake, that's going to allow Rogers, the 72, to try and propel himself a little bit closer up into the top 5. Ogle still out front, a comfortable gap up over John Hinchcliffe. Now I'm really curious to see if we can get a green flag run here, how the tire management's going to be a factor. Really haven't had the opportunity at all so far this evening. problems. That's Sean Foltz and the 76. No, is that the 74 of Wanamaker? No, it's the 26 of Lloyd Moore, but no caution. Not entirely sure how. Sean Foltz and Lloyd Moore going to get the bad end of the deal there. Foltz just gets loose all on his own. Moore checked up. He gave a little bit of a shot into the back of Rogers. Foltz, as bad as that could have been, he got off easy. Unfortunately, it's going to be Lloyd Moore, I think, getting the worst end of that deal. So we got mighty darn close to another caution there. And that's one of the things here at Iowa. If one of those drivers has problems, it's very tough for anybody to kind of find some safe track, not knowing where an out-of-control driver is going to slide off to. We've seen cars slide down the apron. We've seen them snap loose and go right back into the outside line. So it's kind of anybody's guess on how it's going to shake down. Robert Garisco, Dakota Pischke having a battle there for 17th. And a little bit further ahead, Brian Lindsay, Chris Bates, Dan Hill, all battling for 10th. Hill looking for redemption here. It took him a while to get back on the lead lap, but he is fighting closer and closer back up towards the front. Lindsay got a little bit loose there, the number 24. He's going to watch Bates and Hill pull away. And now here's Sean Foltz. Now I wonder for Foltz after that big moment, if the tires got overheated at all, and if it's going to be exponentially tougher for that 95 machine to make his way around quickly here. Currently, nothing's really changing in the top 5. Everybody running very, very smooth here. It's been mostly solo incidents this evening that have been giving drivers problems. Chris Bates, a bit of a bobble. That's going to allow Dan Hill to work his way up along the inside line. Brian Lynch has made a move against TJ Rogers up into 6th. Your top 3 still Ogle, Hinchcliffe, Robinson, 1, 2, 3. Isaacs and McDaniel rounding out the top 5. Oh, a bit of a blink there from Brian Lynch. That's going to put TJ Rogers a little bit on edge if he's trying to close up to Lynch. Not knowing where that car is going to reappear at can make it mighty exciting. Robinson has a big run here against John Hinchcliffe as he takes over the 2nd place position into turn 1. I think Robinson's going to get clear here. Now, I don't want to hit with the commentator's curse, but we are getting just a littlest bit of a groove going on here. The closest drivers I see out on track, really the 3 closest driver, Chris Bates, Brian Lindsay, Sean Foltz, 11th, 12th, and 13th as they're making their way through traffic. Oh, I think that was Garisco. Was that Garisco? I think it... I couldn't tell if that was or not. I saw somebody tagging the wall there. A 3-car battle for 11th. There's Foltz working the inside line against Chris Bates. Foltz again was involved in that incident that somehow did not bring out the caution with himself and Lloyd Moore. As it looks like Dan Hill still making ground, has moved that number 7 machine back up to 9th. So Hill still on the loud pedal and making it happen here. Chris Bates out and Wanamaker. Wanamaker looked to the inside line of Bates, wasn't quite sure where to go. There's Tom Massey in the background as well, the number 62. Week in and week out, we've expected tight racing across the field here at the YesterYear Racing Cup Series. I think tonight the track is probably the biggest difficulty for a large portion of the field. Hill makes another pass, has fought his way back up into 8th. Hill's on some of the freshest tires out on track. He came down here, rode under caution on lap 72. Took 4 fresh tires. And I think now you're starting to see them pay dividends. Chris Bates, number 81, down pit road for a green flag stop. Drivers tonight have 3 sets of tires behind the wall. So Hill gambling on taking one of those while most of the other field still on their first tire change. TJ Rogers making that pass against Brian Lynch for 6th. But keep an eye out. There we go. Dan Hill now in frame here for the battle for 6th. We've got another off-track reported. It's going to be William Martin, the number 94. And he's actually going to take a tow here. Let's see what happened to Martin. That's going to be coming out of turn 4. My goodness, right across the field. And then Martin takes an alternative path there before taking a tow back to pit road. So narrowly avoided yet another caution as we are less than 50 laps left to go here tonight. And I saw another incident. Unfortunately, it's Robert Garisco, who's just having a very unlucky evening here tonight. Has been fighting the number 28 nonstop, once again losing the rear end. A little bit of a tap there against the wall. But he was able to get back out on track. And still, thankfully, no caution here. Oh, I just heard somebody sliding around. I couldn't quite see it. I think that was Hinchcliffe having an issue as he lost a spot to Greg McDaniel. Oh, Hinchcliffe really fighting the tires here. Look at the number 8. It's trying everything he can to lose the rear end. Hinchcliffe is in trouble. He needs to back off the throttle a little bit here. Try and cool those tires down. I think in all of our races we've covered here at the OBRL, this might be one of the worst as far as the cars trying to quickly end some of the drivers' evenings. Now about 2.3 seconds back from Hinchcliffe. There's Dan Hill still with that forward momentum. He's got TJ Rogers, Brian Lynch, Roger Hurley right behind. But if this thing goes green, and I don't think it's going to, I think Hill's in a really good spot here if he can just kind of keep his nerves underneath him. And maybe even more importantly, keep the tires underneath him. Behind Hill, you've got Rogers, Lynch, Hurley. Really getting tight here in the pack. Looks like Hurley's going to make a move up the inside against Brian Lynch up into 8th. Hurley, the red and black, number 77. Oh my goodness, there's got to be contact. Yes, there is, and synchronized crashing behind. Where's the caution? Gavin Adams, Brian Lindsay, what is going on here tonight? How was there not a caution with that one? The iRacing officials totally missed that one. Number 30 of Gavin Adams checked up, and both drivers careening through the infield here. Totally lost how there wasn't a yellow thrown for that one. Now the cautions are thrown here automatically by the iRacing software. And whoever programmed that one was must have been a Friday or a Monday bit of code thrown in the system, because that was just grossly missed on that one. Up front, Ogle For the first time in a long time, under fire now by Robinson, the number 23. And we're going to have another incident. Sean Fulton, this one brings out a caution. Somehow. That's our 5th caution, 40 laps left to go. Going to be a solo incident for Fultz, losing the back end. How does that bring out a caution? Oh, that's why he pulled back on the hot track. Okay, that makes more sense. I was getting ready to be real displeased with the iRacing gods on that one. So 5th caution of the night. There's Ogle out front. I think everybody's going to come down pit road, reset the tires. And we're going to have a mad shootout here with about 35 laps left to go at Iowa. So everybody's going to tango down pit road here at Iowa under caution. I believe just about everybody is going to have a set of tires still back behind the wall. Looks like Andy Thomas, the number 12, stays out. Not sure if that was a strategy to get back on the lead lap, or if he's going to absolutely send it and go for it. But we are once again under eye pacing. I'm curious to see Thomas, number 12 machine, staying out his last pit stop, showing a lap 65. But he's been down pit road 5 different times this evening. I'm curious to see if he dives down pit road to get back towards the end of the field. I'd imagine by now, surely he's used all of his tires after 5 stops. Maybe he had the foresight not to use those tires. But since it looks like he's staying out, he's going to be on about 50 lap older tires, 56 lap older tires than the rest of the field behind him here. That could be a bit of a precarious situation. So we're going to get him gridded back up double file here. I'm apprehensive what's going to happen since you've got one driver up front on substantially older tires. This could be very, very interesting. Thankfully, a large portion of the field very, very smooth when it comes to passing. And again, most of the incidents tonight have been by that right rear, I believe, letting loose for these drivers and sending them sliding around. So it's going to be Andy Thomas, Tom Ogle, your front row. Robinson, Isaacs, your second row. Wanamaker and Hill, your third row. Wanamaker having a great run here, up 11 spots. Keep an eye out as well in that third row. Dan Hill, the number 7, has had quite a roller coaster of an evening. We get ready for that iRacing safety car to come down pit road. And we are green flag racing once more now. A reminder to the fans, Robinson, the number 23, is your points leader. Oh, and we're going to go 3 wide early on. Jerry Isaacs not afraid to lick the stamp and send it. Andy Thomas getting swallowed up by the field here. Those older tires just not able to keep going. Robinson and Isaacs side by side. Robinson was up on the high side when that 3 wide situation. Isaacs gets a little bit loose out of turn 4, able to hold on to it. And look who's in the party. Dan Hill, the number 7 machine, has quickly worked his way up towards the front. I think Hill got a little bit loose out of 2. McDaniel tries to find some clean track. Hill wanted to go high there, realized that McDaniel was right there on the high side. And man, I think Hill already fighting with the tires, coming out on track with fresh rubber underneath them. The car seems to be a little bit lively for him. As just ahead, he is watching Isaacs and McDaniel side by side in the battle for third. Ogle, your race leader, has to be happy watching this unfold behind him. Knowing the longer these guys are battling from third place back will take more and more pressure off that number 11 machine, who's been the dominant driver so far here this evening. Again, Isaacs and McDaniel still side by side. Hill watching on in 5th. TJ Rogers, John Hinchcliffe also in this top 6 party. It looks like Isaacs is going to get clear here of McDaniel as the field bunches up ever so slightly behind. Isaacs keeping that momentum down, trying to catch up to Robinson sitting in 2nd. We got Dustin Martinson join us in the spectator area. I would say get here when you can, but the stream started late too, so who am I to throw stones, glass houses, so on and so forth. If you're just tuning in the case of Dustin Martinson, you've missed a night of solo incidents, cautions, and non-stop action from a lap 20 forward. Isaacs and McDaniel still going at it in that final podium spot. Isaacs falling back slightly. Now Robinson has his teammate Ogle in the crosshairs, the number 23 machine, but McDaniel also seems to be pulling up front. I wonder if Ogle might have had a little bit of a bobble that allowed second place back to catch up. I can't imagine Ogle would purposefully try and stack the field up here after we've had so many cautions. We get ready to make it 25 laps left to go here at Iowa. Isaacs once again trying to put the nose in against McDaniel. They built up about a half-second gap from 5th place back. The fact that Dan Hill is running the top 5 after being, I believe, 4 laps down at one point is extremely impressive. I'm also surprised with 23 laps left to go just how bunched up things are here in the top 4. Looked like McDaniel had a big run against Robinson, wasn't able to find a place to put it. And Robinson, I think, saw that rear view mirror, getting full of the Cartoon Network back number 1 machine. Got back on the loud pedal to tuck in behind Ogle. He'll have 21 of our 27 entries out on track. 19 of which are on the lead lap here as we stay focused in. Just inside the podium position, you've got Ogle, Robinson, McDaniel, Isaacs, first through fourth, separated by less than a second between the 4 of them here. And I just saw Sean Foltz falling down the leaderboard, so he had another mistake. As there goes Gavin Adams, the number 30 machine, making his way around. There's your top 4, then nice tidy pack. You can see Dan Hill, John Hinchcliffe, 5th and 6th. But the laps are starting to dwindle here at Iowa. Now, very interesting to see the different lines as well. McDaniel running a little bit more of a wide swooping line, almost diamonding the corners a little bit. Gary Isaacs, number 51 machine, still running a nice tight line. I wonder if McDaniel is thinking he might need to save a little bit of tires here for the end if we go green as we get ready to make it 20 laps left to go. It'd be a bit of a gamble. We really haven't had much green flag runs at all so far this evening. But McDaniel, definitely a vet here at the OBRL. He knows what it takes to make it till the end. That's why he's sporting the number 1 machine, or the number 1 plate on that Chevrolet. Ogle out front, his teammate Robinson tucked in right behind. And look at the different line choices there. Ogle and Robinson staying glued to the inside line. McDaniel, quite a bit more of a swooping line through 3 and 4. And it seems to be working for that number 1 machine as he is right on the back bumper of Robinson there. Now, I think this might keep working in the favor of McDaniel, but it really depends. If he leaves an opening for Jerry Isaacs, the number 51 running 4th, if Isaac starts to pressure McDaniel and forces the number 1 to run more of a bit of a defensive line, an inside line, then I think McDaniel and Isaacs will see Ogle and Robinson first and second start to pull away here. Oh, and that line did not bode well for McDaniel there as there's a little bit of traffic. St. Clair, but it gets through nice and easy. Ogle got through the best, your race leader. There's the number 94, William Martin, going up against the wall, trying to allow these lead lap drivers by nice and easy. The top 4 still pretty bunched up. Ogle and Robinson have pulled about 6/10 up over McDaniel and Isaacs, who now briefly go side by side. This time it's going to be Isaacs up on the high side, McDaniel down low. And they're watching the top 2 drivers slowly pull away. 14 laps left to go here at Iowa. It's still Ogle, Robinson, and McDaniel, your top 3, but just barely as Isaacs trying to get that 51 machine up into a podium spot. Dan Hill still running at top 5. Quite the comeback for the number 7. We got Fish joining us in the spectator area. Always good to see him coming out, cheering on the home team. Isaacs falling back slightly. And that's going to give Dan Hill an opportunity to work the inside line. That number 7, the laps are rapidly dwindling here. Fingers and toes are crossed from racers, fans, and broadcasters alike that we do not use our green-white checker attempt here this evening, as here's the battle for fourth. Side by side goes Isaacs and Hill. Isaacs get a little bit better run out of turn 4 through the tri-oval, but Hill's going to make another attempt down into turn 1. And despite the side-by-side racing, they're still keeping McDaniel within striking distance. Your race leader, Tom Ogle, has his teammate Robinson 2/10 off the back. As very briefly, it looks like Robinson's taking a peek for the race lead here. Ogle and Robinson, second and first in the championship running order. And let's go a little bit further back. Alan Wanamaker and Roger Hurley going to go side by side for 8th. Hurley the number 77, Wanamaker the 74. You can see Lloyd Moore, the number 26, and other drivers had a bit of a roller coaster of evening behind. Oh, might have been contact there as Wanamaker goes up against the wall, keeps it off the wall, thankfully. But now he's going to be under fire from Lloyd Moore. And while that's going on, Dan Hill now showing up into 4th. Dan Hill has made his way around rather cleanly from around Greg McDaniel, the number 1. And while that's going on, Josh Robinson was briefly alongside Ogle. So with 9 laps left to go, both the race lead and the top 3 all but decided here. I think Ogle's led 95% of the laps so far here at Iowa. Wants to lead the most important one, the final lap. But Robinson might have other plans. He wants to extend that points lead for number 23. Seven laps left to go. The laps rapidly dwindling at this point. Robinson pulling up alongside the inside of Ogle down the backstretch. Doesn't quite get the run he's looking for, but here we go into turn 3. Side by side for the race lead. Robinson ahead by a nose. Ogle fires back here. Who gets the run out of 4? It's going to be Ogle pulling about a tenth and a half back in his favor. And there's something going on back out on track. Lloyd Moore had an incident, kept it out of the hot track, so we won't have a caution from that. Oh, is that Wanamaker, I think? Might have been involved in that one with Moore. I think it was. So there was contact between the two. I can't tell if Wanamaker came down or Moore pushed up if the car got tight. Thankfully, no caution on that one. 5 laps left to go here at Iowa. It's Ogle and Robinson separated by about a quarter of a second. In third, Jerry Isaacs under fire from Dan Hill, who's mounting one of the most impressive comebacks we've seen in quite a while. 4 laps left to go. Yeah, Dustin Martinson asking spectator, did Moore come up? Did Wanamaker go down? It was tough to tell from that one. You're watching the battle for the final podium spot. I saw the back end dancing slightly from Isaacs. 3 laps left to go. Ogle holds a 4/10 advantage over his teammate Robinson. And this is the battle for the final podium spot. Jerry Isaacs, Dan Hill facing off here. Everybody's on the same tire strategy after that lap 111 pit stop under caution. We get ready to make it 2 to go as Ogle crosses the line. Now, if your race leader can take the white flag without incident, we will not use the green-white checker attempt. Isaacs and Hill side by side. Hill goes to the high side, pulls a 1/10 of an advantage. We unfurl the white flag at the start-finish line. White flag is out here at Iowa. Robinson in hot pursuit. A 1/10 and a half off the back of the number 11. Takes a deep dive up the inside line. There's traffic ahead for Ogle. What's going to happen here? That's going to be Andy Thomas, number 12 machine. Ogle goes low. Checkered flag is out here at Iowa. Oh, it's going to be a little bit close. It's Tom Ogle by 0.06 of a second. Josh Robinson in second. And Dan Hill miraculously makes his way back up onto the podium with a strong third-place finish. So a well-deserved win for Mr. Tom Ogle. As we get our beautiful podium shots here. Ogle, Robinson, and Hill put on a great show, and now Tom Ogle, the White Claw back number 11 Ford Mustang, burns it down here at Iowa, not Idaho. Trying to get these top three drivers up here into victory lane. Waiting on Tom Ogle, Josh Robinson, and Dan Hill. And once the drivers make their way up here, we can get the podium celebration started here. So we know Tom Ogle is ready. We're waiting on Dan Hill to make his way up here into the top three. And once we get Hill and Robinson, we can get this party started. Looks like we can get things going. We'll start things off with Dan Hill, the number 7 machine. Dan, what a comeback story here tonight. I believe at one point I saw you 3 or 4 laps down. The cautions worked at your favor, and then able to save some tires there at the end and fight your way back up on the podium.
Yeah, we'll just say that I had a catastrophe. I had an animal decided they wanted to have me looking out my right mirror or right side of my car, and so I turned down because I didn't want to wreck anybody, and ended up having to pit early. Took a tow, got 3 laps down, and I'll take a 3rd place out of that night.
Well, now inquiring minds have to ask: was it a cat? Was it a dog? What did you have a goat nibbling your ear? What was going on?
It's just this gray little kitten. He decided, I guess he decided I wanted to pit there, and so we made the best of it.
Well, hey, the crew chief made it happen, still able to bring it home in 3rd. And Dan, what made the car so tough and treacherous for all the drivers here tonight?
There was just no way to save the right rear, and the way the setup was starting out, it had a lot of rear brake in it, and you could adjust it and try to get it to where you could get more front brake, but it didn't matter because even every just accelerating off the corner would just eat that right rear up, and it was getting so hot, and it was so treacherous that you had to be super steady. Plus the bumps that are low and high, there's like a tiny little window of area that you can drive, so it's a really tough combination to try to get through without wrecking.
Well, glad you're able to overcome. Glad the crew chief made the right call, and good to have you back up here in 3rd. Before I let you go, who do you want to give a shout to that helped make it happen?
Well, shout out to Shadow, my crew chief that decided that I wanted to pit. Shout out to my teammates Tom, Josh, Brian, John. There's so many of them here at Team Yada. It's hard to remember all of them. Mark Fish. Shout out to Victor for running an outstanding league here. And thanks to you guys for everything you guys do in the broadcast, because you guys are phenomenal.
Well, my absolute pleasure. Dan, always a pleasure, bud, and good to have you back up here.
Thanks, bud. Have a good one.
You as well, sir. That was Dan Hill bringing it home in third. Up next, we've got Josh Robinson, the Micro Center back 23. Josh, able to keep a lot of the carnage behind you. Unfortunately, a number 11 still ahead of you, but still, what a fantastic night for you and the team.
Yeah, a little bit of lots of cautions tonight, but I'm a little exhausted because that car was a handful, and it might not have looked like that in the broadcast, but you're drifting through those corners quite a bit, and in turn one, oh my, that bump,
Yeah,
you can't miss it.
yeah, I mean, no, we definitely noticed it up here in the booth. I mean, the fans did as well. It looked like everybody was really fighting the car here, and it seemed like the last couple weeks it's been almost like when the next gens first came out, where they're kind of snapping loose. But tonight it seemed like the track, you guys were tearing up right rears, you're hitting bumps everywhere, and there was despite the cautions, real no chance of a break. It looked like for you guys.
No, especially those last 30 laps. Tom and I were joking that we were running qualifying laps there because there was just nothing. You had to go, and I dove under him entering 3 time, and I thought I had it. The car was great. The car was great, and then just with a blink of an eye, it wasn't great anymore. I thought I was spinning out. I was like, oh, I'm done, and I thought I was going to be entering pit road about 150 mile an hour.
Well, glad to see you overcome, keeping that number 23 underneath you when so many other drivers weren't able to tonight. So a great run, a great finish, a clean car. And Josh, before I let you go and we unroll the red carpet for your teammate, who do you want to give a shout to that helps put you up here in second?
Shout out to all the guys that came out and braved. I think this is the first time we've ran the Cup car, the next gen at least, at Iowa. So it was a little bit sketchy, but makes it fun to drive. Makes for a good broadcast, I assume. Shout out to Dan, who was 2 laps down at one point and got it corrected from a cat jumping on his on his keyboard and coming back up in the third. That's pretty good. And then shout out to Tom. He ran a pretty perfect race, and he's really hard to beat here.
Josh, always a pleasure, bud. Super cool to have you back up here, and hopefully we'll have you up here next week as well.
Thanks, and happy Father's Day.
You as well, sir. That was Josh Robinson bringing it home in second, but sit down, relax, grab some popcorn. It's Tom Ogle back in the top spot with a new A-class license.
Yeah, it's like a baby horse learning to walk again. Just trying out this new license.
Yeah, I mean, Weeble and Wobbin. It seemed like that was kind of the name of the game here at Iowa, not Idaho. But, Tom, it seemed like it was very similar to an official race. A ton of cautions here tonight as everybody was kind of fighting the track and the car, it seemed like.
Anytime you have like a really loose combination like this, you're going to have cautions, and plus it wasn't just the car being loose, like it was unpredictable. If you got offline in 1 and 2 and you hit the bumps down low and you were either on the gas or brake or up high, you didn't even have to be using any inputs. It would just spin the car out. So especially like with the aero, when you're around other cars, it was a hard car to drive.
Now, Tom, I jokingly always give you grief about the license, but that really does kind of play back in your favor. I mean, getting the license in iRacing, it's all about keeping the car clean over the course of a race when surrounded by 40 people you don't know. So how much more, the word for it, I guess more relaxing and less stressful for you was it to be able to run a league race out front and kind of keep that carnage behind you?
I mean, it's always less stressful when you have clean air, but like it was like guys were taking shifts running me and burning up my tires so that Josh could save almost, I knew he was back there saving, so I was trying to save, but you don't want to give up the clean air. John was really fast. 51 was fast. Like everybody kind of took turns being fast. So you have to fight the guy who's there, and then it lets that other guys kind of save.
Well, Tom, able to make it happen, proving that the number 11 was the most consistently fast all night long. I think 99% of the laps fell in your favor in the top spot. And tonight, my friend, you've got the privilege, the pleasure, the final send-offs of the evening. Who do you want to give a shout to that helped make it happen?
Oh, all the admins and the league owners, they just do put in so much time. I don't think people realize how much time they put in on stuff like this. And you for broadcasting it, my teammates for helping us. We were bouncing ideas off of each other the whole time to try and get a handle on stuff. And shout out to Dan for the comeback of the season. 2 laps or 3 laps down, and he came back. And John Hinchcliffe had a great run too. So it was a good night all around.
Awesome, Tom. Always a pleasure, bud. Happy Father's Day, and congratulations on another great win.
Thank you. And I hope your Roosters wish you a happy Father's Day.
Thanks, man. I know what you mean.
Thank you.
That was Tom Ogle bringing it home in the top spot here, the YesterYear Racing Cup Series at the Old Bastards Racing League. Ogle was accompanied by his teammate Josh Robinson in second, and yet another teammate with Team Miata bringing it home in third with Dan Hill. On behalf of Butt Kicker, Victory Lane Sports, Top Flight Computers, and of course YesterYear Racing, my name has been James Eastwood, Team Goon Squad Broadcasting. Thank you all so much for spending your Sunday night with us. Happy Father's Day to everybody out there, and we'll see you at the next one. Have a great night, everybody.